Prowl 1701 here. Today we're going to be ranking every season / series that's the middle season of a Doctor's run. We're basically going to be ranking every Doctor's middle season, the middle of their run as the Doctor, from worst to best. Now this is an idea, a series actually, that one of my fellow YouTubers, Paul Bailey, did, where he did the first season of a Doctor's run, the last season of a Doctor's run. And I was thinking, I ought to do one in the middle. But him and I were talking on his channel one time. And he's like, yeah, I'm about to do one in the middle. And I was like, he beat me to it. But Paul and I, a lot of times, one of us will do an idea the other one likes. And we're really good about, yeah, man, go ahead. I want to hear your take on it. I have ideas that he likes to do videos of. He has ideas I like to do videos of. And we get on really well. So I'm going to do my ranking of every Doctor's middle season. We're going to take a look at where they were in the middle of their run as the Doctor, and I'm going to rank them from worst to best. And that is 11 places, I believe, we're looking at here, because there is no 8th Doctor, and there is no 9th Doctor, because the middle of the 9th Doctor's run would be the middle of Series 1. Since he only has one series, I don't have him on the list. And of course, no 8th Doctor, because I'm not really counting audios. So we're looking at the other main 11 Doctors, which is 11 places. And in 11th place is Series 6. Series 6 is just a mess. It has too many ideas going on. There are good episodes in Series 6. And while Matt Smith, while the 11th Doctor is not as balanced as a character as he is in Series 5, Matt Smith is still putting in a good performance. And I like the two-parter that starts the season. I like the concept of the silence. I think it's a bit all over the place. And the way part 2 picks up is kind of what the heck's going on. There's a lot of that in this season, what the heck's going on. But then I never got into the Rebel Flesh two-parter at all, except for the little twist at the end with the Doctors. Don't really care for it, waste of time. A Good Man Goes to War, though, I thought was really good. I enjoyed it immensely. Closing Time was good with a not good ending. The Beat 'em with Love ending. The finale is all over the place. Like, it is all over the place. There's so much going on in the finale. It's a mess. I love the little eye patch nod to Inferno. I do. Nod to a behind-the-scenes joke of Inferno, actually. Joke in Inferno, actually. But this series is just all over the place. It's easily my least favorite season / series that's a Doctor's middle season. I just don't get into Series 6 much, despite having some individual good episodes. As a season, it's all over the place. Number 10 on the list, just barely edging it out, is Series 9. And this is hard carried by Heaven Sent and the Under the Lake Before the Flood two-parter. Those 3 episodes are really good. They're carrying the rest of the season on their back. Sleep No More has some interesting ideas that aren't executed the best in the world, but I do respect the fact they have some good ideas. The Dalek two-parter that opens it, if you want to call it that, has a couple neat things it does, but Moffat kind of craps the bed. He doesn't stick the landing, which kind of ruins it for me. And there's a lot of excess that doesn't need to be there to begin with. Missy doesn't need to be in that story at all, as much as I love Michelle Gomez as Missy. The two-parter with the girl from Game of Thrones, I don't care for it. Again, there's some neat ideas there, but they're not executed well. The Zygon two-parter is way too long. That should have been one part. I don't mind that storyline existing, but it should have been one part. It's very boring at 2 parts, despite the amazing speech. And I feel like there's another two-parter in there somewhere that I'm forgetting about because it's so bad, I've just forgotten about it. But Series 9, I like Heaven Sent a lot. I like the Under the Lake two-parter a lot. And then Sleep No More, it has some interesting ideas. That's about all it's really got going for it for me. Next on the list in 9th place is Season 23. And people are probably wondering, but that's Colin's final season. See, Season 23, A Trial of a Time Lord season, doesn't feel like a final season, which originally it wasn't a final season. And it feels like that. It doesn't have that sense of finality to it. Because a lot of times we know a doctor's going. The doctor knows he's going. The production team knows he's going. You watch season 18, you can pick up on this is Tom Baker's final season. It has that feel to it. A lot of a doctor's seasons has that feel of things coming to an end when you think about it. Season 23 doesn't have that. It feels like a middle of the run season. It feels like a season that would be a doctor's middle season. It has that feel to it, and that's the way it comes across to me. The way I think of it is season 22 is his first season, season 23 is his final season, and a lot of Big Finish is, or season 23, excuse me, is his middle season, and a lot of Big Finish is his final season. That's the way that's supposed to go. Yeah. Season 22 is his first season, season 23 is his middle season, and a lot of Big Finish is his final season. Even though I know a lot of Big Finish takes place at different points in this timeline, a lot of Big Finish also takes place after a trial of a Time Lord. So for me, a lot of his Big Finish stories count as his final season for me. And that's the way it feels. So season 23 feels like a middle season, and it belongs on this list. And I don't get into season 23. I consider it the weakest season of classic Doctor Who. I like 3 of the 4 stories, and I don't hate Mind Warp. It's got Brian Blessed in it. It brings Syl back, and I like both of those things. I just don't really get into it that much, really. I really like Mysterious Planet. I really like Terror of the Vervoids, especially the trial-less version of it on the box set. And I like Ultimate Foe well enough. It's not a classic, but it's fine. It has some neat ideas in it. Part 1 is better than Part 2, but Part 2, especially considering the behind-the-scenes stuff of Part 2, the fact it came out as good as it did, I'm quite pleased with that, and it's pretty much a miracle, honestly. So I like it. Colin seems more comfortable in the role. I don't like that Nicola leaves, because I like her, and Mel arrives, which I like Bonnie, but I don't like Mel. I really don't like Mel. So I'm not a big fan of Mel being there. But, yeah, it's just kind of where it falls, especially with only 4 stories to go off of. Next on the list is... And this list shuffled around a bit. This list really shuffled around a bit from when I originally wrote it, probably a month or 2 ago. Next on the list is Series 12, which of course is Whittaker's middle season. Now, I tend to like most of Series 12. I think it's Whittaker's strongest season. Aside from the Timeless Children, there's a lot of good stuff going on in it. Timeless Children is rubbish. One of the worst episodes of Doctor Who ever made. Total rubbish. Orphan 55 really isn't that good. It does have some good things going on in it, but there's a lot of not good going on in it and a lot of just plain stupid going on in it. So it's not really that great. And then, I'm trying to remember if Praxis is that season. I can't remember if Praxis is that season. Because Praxis is very boring. Praxis is not bad. It's just there. It's boring. It's uninteresting. It's just kind of there. I can't remember if that's season 6 or not. I can't remember if that's series 11 or 12. But I could have sworn there's a third one in 12 I don't like, but I don't remember what it is. But I like the Spyfall 2-parter. I like the Tesla episode. I like Fugitive of the Jadoon. I like Can You Hear Me a lot. And I really like The Haunting of Villa Diodati. And then Ascension of the Cybermen is pretty decent. It's not like great or anything, but it's fine. But there's way too many episodes that I just really, really enjoy. Sometimes in spite of the Doctor. The 13th Doctor's not always great in them, but the stories are good, and that kind of makes up for it. Although Whittaker does have her moments where she shines in the role. But the ones I mentioned I liked, I tend to really like. I think they're really good. They're episodes I go back to revisit, although I do need to rewatch Haunting again. I've been due that one. I've just been busy with other stuff. But Series 12, I think, is better than its reputation, and originally was even higher on this list. Just having seen, with Season 20 dropping, it's kind of shifted around with me finally getting to rewatch Silver Nemesis. That it kind of shifted 25 around. It's just kind of where it ends up. But I do actually like most of Series 12. Next on the list in 7th place is Season 25, which did jump up a place considering I finally got to rewatch Silver Nemesis. And And I liked Silver Nemesis. Part 3, it kind of falls apart. It has a lot of problems, a lot of plot issues, and a lot of silliness going on. But overall, I like it. It's an inferior version of Remembrance of the Daleks. But parts 1 and 2 are pretty solid. Some good performances going on. And at the end of the day, I found it enjoyable and perfectly watchable. Of course, I like Remembrance of the Daleks. It's a tad overrated, but still good. Has a couple things I can nitpick about it, and have numerous times. But I like it. And Happiness Patrol is fantastic. I really enjoy it. And then Greatest Show of the Galaxy doesn't really work for me like it does most people. There are aspects of it I enjoy, which I've talked about before, but it doesn't really work for me. That being said, I've only seen it once, and it does need a rewatch. Next on the list is Season 9, John Pertwee's mid-season. I like Season 9. It has Day of the Daleks, which is one of my favorite Dalek stories, especially the special edition with the enhanced effects. But the regular edition and the omnibus versions are great watches too. Curse of Peladon is fun. It's not essential Doctor Who, but it's fun might not be the right word, but it's good. I enjoy it. I find it likable. I think Joe and John are putting in good performances. It's nice to have David Troughton there. I like the Sea Devils a lot. I do enjoy that one. I love the Sea Devil design. I love the fact they actually had the Royal Navy involved. I like the mutants. Now, part of the reasons I like the mutants, I think, was it did keep me wondering what was going to happen next. I really did the whole time. I always wanted to watch the next episode. It kept me invested in what was happening next. I was curious if it was going to fill out its 6 parts well. And it did on first viewing. I don't know how that will hold up on rewatch, because I've only watched it the one time. That will be the interesting thing for the mutants, is to see how well it holds up on rewatch. But I liked my first viewing. And the Time Monster, I think, is an underrated story. I find it enjoyable. It gets a little silly in places, and the Kronos outfit is ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. And then when they actually meet Kronos later in the female form is also utterly ridiculous. The way they do that CSO where it looks terrible. But from a story standpoint, I can enjoy it. I don't think it's essential Doctor Who, but it's far better than its reputation. So it just kind of falls here. I mean, you know, John's always putting in a good performance. Katie's always putting in a good performance. And you have Unit. That's a great thing. I love the Pertwee era. Let's see. Next on the list is Season 15, Tom's middle season. I think Tom's seasons are all good. Tom Baker does not have a bad season. That said, Season 15 could arguably be his weakest. I really like Horror of Fang Rock. It's easily the standout of the season and one of the best post-Hinchcliffe stories. It's really, really good. Really great atmosphere to it. Really great shooting. I love the lighthouse. I love the performances. It's really, really good. Invisible Enemy, I'm not that keen on. It's fine. It's perfectly watchable. I like the guy who plays the inventor of K9. The updated effects look really good on it. But it's just not a memorable one for me at all. Sunmakers is great. I do really enjoy the Sunmakers. It's Bob Holmes, and it's Bob Holmes doing a non-horror story, which is nice to see. I really do like it. Very underrated story. Image of the Fendal, I've only seen once or I can never remember if I've seen this once or twice. I think I've only seen this once, maybe twice. And it's been a long time. It needs a rewatch, but I remember enjoying it for the most part. I'm a little let down by the Fendal's final form, and I think I had one other little nitpick I can't remember right off. But it's a great story, and I am really looking forward to rewatching that one. And then you have Underworld, which is very underrated. Yes, the CSO looks bad, but it's mostly just in episode 3 the CSO looks bad. And the model work in episodes 1 and 4 is some of the best model work in all of classic Doctor Who, in my opinion. The story I enjoy well enough. Some of the set designs aren't the best. You can tell it's kind of done on the cheap. But I definitely think it's better than its reputation. For me, the weak link is the finale, which is the invasion of time, when the budget just ran out. And you can tell the budget is just gone. And that really hurts this story. I mean, the interior TARDIS scenes are a joke. Just a joke. The story itself, I also don't really get into, to be honest. I like the fake out and the reveal of the Centaurans being there. That's cool, and some of the performances are good. But the story doesn't really grip me, and Leela's departure is one of the worst departures of a companion. Especially post-60s, one of the worst. It doesn't fit Leela's character at all, and it really irks me. So yeah, that's just kind of where we end up on that. It's a mixed bag of a season. In fourth place is season 20, which I have got to rewatch a lot of. I haven't rewatched all of it because some of the stories I had seen recently, like Snake Dance, I watched recently for the first time, and Maldron Undead and Terminus are still pretty fresh on my mind from rewatches of those last year. But I did watch the 40th anniversary of the Five Doctors, which I do think is my new definitive version of it. I really love the new effects, and then the HD material looks gorgeous. It's really, really good. And I just tend to love the Five Doctors in general. I got to rewatch Arc of Infinity. I like Arc of Infinity. I like Arc of Infinity a lot. Maybe part of that is the updated effects, because the original effects for it were a bit naffed. But the updated effects from the DVD release of Arc of Infinity really punch it up. Much like the Day of the Daleks special edition really punches that story up. This one really, for Arc of Infinity, the updated effects really help it. I enjoy the story. I like what they do with Omega here. I actually enjoy his costume. I love his portrayal more in this story. How he's more reserved in it. I like having Michael Gough in the story. I think it uses the Time Lords well. It's nice to see Barusa back. I always like Barusa. So I like Arc of Infinity, and some great location work at Amsterdam. And then I also watched the new version of Enlightenment, which I like. Although the effects, sometimes I like the effects from the original updated effects on the DVD better. Sometimes I like them better here. I don't have a definitive version of Enlightenment that I prefer over the others. I like all three versions. It's kind of which one I would be more in the mood to watch at any given time. So I do prefer some of the updated effects on the original DVD release, and I prefer some of the updated effects on this release, while still also enjoying the original effects. But I like Enlightenment a lot. It's probably my favorite story of the season, not including Five Doctors. And then it has King's Demons, which you guys know I like King's Demons. Highly underrated story. Davison's best two-parter, in my opinion. So it's a strong season for me, with no bad stories, because I actually like Snake Dance. Snake Dance is way better than Kinda. I don't dislike any, even Terminus, which is very forgettable, isn't bad, in my opinion. I don't think season 20 has a bad story. And that's a pretty strong vote of confidence in it for me to say that. So it just kind of ends up here. Let's enter into the top three. In third place is season 4. And you guys know I love season 4. Season 4 is absolutely amazing for me. It is Troughton. My favorite Troughton season. It really stinks that so much of it's missing. And we're really grateful, though. We're really lucky as Doctor Who fans that so much of it's been animated in the past few years, that we can watch so many of these stories complete now. Even though I haven't seen all of them, I still haven't seen Underwater Menace, The Smugglers, or I think that's it actually, because I have watched the recon for the Highlanders. I've read The Smugglers, and I like the 10th Planet well enough, especially the first half. I really love Power of the Daleks. I enjoy the Highlanders, the recon, and the novelization. Looking forward to Underwater Menace. I love the Macroterra animation. I love the Macroterra animation. I love the Moon Base a lot. It's one of my favorite Cybermen stories. It's probably tied with the Invasion, actually, for my excuse me, favorite Cybermen story. I like the Faceless ones well enough. It's not blowing me out of the water, but I enjoy it well enough. And I love Evil of the Daleks. It's just such a strong season, and Troughton's one of my favorite Doctors. And we get Jamie joining the TARDIS team, and I absolutely love Jamie. He's one of my favorite companions. Matter of fact, I think he was my third favorite when I ranked him. He was up there. Number 2 on the list, just edging it out, and this surprised me, was Season 2. Because I think when I ranked all the seasons, Season 4 was above Season 2. But Season 2 has really been on my mind a lot lately. It really helps, too, to have so much of it surviving, that Season 2 is, of course, the most intact 60s seasons. But it's also such a good season for the most part. I really like Planet of Giants, very underrated story that I don't hear enough people talk about. Dalek Invasion of Earth is good. I really enjoy the Rescue a lot. It's a great two-parter. I love the Romans. Because, like, once you realize the Romans is a comedy, and, like, intentionally a comedy, you can have so much fun with it. And the guy playing Nero is just perfect. He's just perfect. And plus, I get to see a really good sword fight in it, which is, you don't see a lot of really good choreographed fights in 60s Doctor Who. But you get to see William Russell doing a really good sword fight in it, which I really enjoy. And even William Hartnell just seems like he's having a ball. The Web Planet's not great, to be fair. Some ambitious ideas, always respect for that, but the end result's not great. The Chase, also not great, but a really good first episode, a really good last episode, and a really hilarious scene with Peter Purvis early on the Empire State Building. But a lot of crap in between. And then you have, of course, the Time Meddler, which is fantastic. I absolutely love the Time Meddler. Peter Buttersworth is just so great as the monk. It's such a good story. And then the Crusade is really good. I really enjoy the Crusade. Even with 2 episodes being recons, I really enjoy that story. So it's just, I've really grown to love Hartnell's era. It's just such a good era. Such a good era. Such good companions. Hartnell's such a good doctor. That it just kind of, his sophomore outing, his middle outing, just ends up here at number 2. And number 1 on the list is Series 3 of Modern Doctor Who. I like Tennant in the role. Tennant's a great doctor. I mean, he's kind of in the middle of my list, but he is a really good doctor. And he's kind of what Doctor Who needed at the time. And we have the stuff with Rose out of the way. We still have him kind of moping over her here, which is a little irksome at times, but understandable. And then Martha kind of has a thing for him here. But that leads into Martha's emotional growth we see in the series. Series 3 is number 1 on my list simply because I love the stories. I love the stories. Series 3 has no bad stories. I like all of them. My least favorite would probably be 42, and it's still great. But I enjoy all of the others. Even the Dalek 2-parter here, the Daleks in Manhattan, I like. I don't think it's the best Dalek story ever, but I like it. I enjoy it. Even at 2 parts, it doesn't feel dragged out and overly long. I think it feels its 2 parts well. I enjoy Smith and Jones a lot. I love the Jadoon. The Shakespearean Code's a highly underrated story. Gridlock is a highly underrated story. One of my favorite Tennant stories, actually. It ranked really high when I was ranking the 10th Doctor era stories. I love Gridlock. There's just so many amazing things going on in Gridlock. The 3-part finale, if you want to call it that, is fine. Especially Utopia. I love Utopia. It's great. Sound of Drums and Last of the Time Lords are a bit of a letdown, but they're fine. They're okay. Sims Master, I don't really care for there. I prefer him more later. But Derek's Master is absolutely amazing in the brief time we get with it. He is so good in the role. The Lazarus Experiment, another underrated episode. I really enjoy that one a lot. I love stories when man tries to play God and things go wrong, much like in The Fly. And I love the 1986 version of The Fly with Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis. I love that movie. So yeah, I enjoyed Lazarus Experiment. There's just a lot of good stories going on in this season. And again, David Tennant is good as the Doctor, and Freema is just great as Martha. Martha is a companion I'm very fond of. One of my favorite modern series companions, actually. So yeah, I love Series 3. There's so much good going on in it, and easily my favorite middle season for a Doctor. So I want to know what you think of this list. So comment down below and let me know. And don't forget to tell me how your rankings would fall. Other things to do, don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me that way. There's a link to that down there as well. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Colin Coney, Finn Perkins, and Stephen Crane. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. It does make a difference, and I do appreciate you. YouTube memberships are available if you'd rather go that route. I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review. And a link to my Amazon wish list is down there as well. Most importantly, thank you for watching.